Guardiola, and this was to a point that you made, Mo, backstage around Pep Guardiola. Do you think he's lost the Manchester City dressing room?
Yeah,
I don't think he's lost the dressing room, Mo.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you the negation first before you explain your point. Let me tell you the negation. I don't think he's lost the dressing room. And I kept the same energy consistent for Klopp 2 years ago when we had the bad season. I don't think a manager of that ilk or that caliber, in my opinion, can lose a dressing room. Klopp can't lose a dressing room. Ferguson can't lose a dressing room. Pep can't lose a dressing room. Bob Paisley can't lose a dressing room. Mourinho, same. Like, maybe you might lose a player or two, but not the whole dressing room. I don't think those players look at Pep and go like, man, this guy is waffling or this guy is saying something wrong. I think combination of things have gone wrong at Manchester City. Maybe they have shown a bit of arrogance over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transfer windows where they have thought they are better than everyone else and not really, how can I say this? Not really adapted to the new challenges that Man United had to them, you know, like maybe a Rodri replacement, maybe someone like that. Has Pep made a couple of mistakes? Like, maybe should he have given Calvin Phillips a chance as an example? I don't know. Maybe should he have given
questions so you can
well,
go on?
but it's just my train of thought. 1 second. I'm looking at Manchester City, and I think some of these players are getting away with murder because this is very important to point out. Let me just point this out more. Some of the games that you watch Manchester City, for instance, the Manchester United game, completely 3-4 individual errors leads to a Man United goal, even though I have publicly said Man United were the better team in that game. Now, this reminds me of when I watched Liverpool against Napoli in the Champions League away from home. We lost 3-0. Trent and Gomez and the midfield probably pulled off stinkers from hell and we ended up losing the game. But we kept saying Klopp, 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 Klopp. I'm like, guys, yes, we can blame Klopp. Yes, we can blame Pep, but it's not just him. And here's the thing. People say the word credit in the bank. Pep Guardiola doesn't just have credit in the bank. Pep Guardiola is the bank itself. The guy actually has 4 league titles in a row. He won them 2 league titles before that. He won them their first Champions League. He won them a treble. So if there is one manager in this whole league that's allowed to have an off season or a bad season and try to rebuild and try to build again, it is him. And there are certain players that have underperformed. Me and Mo have spoken about this before. Savio, he was in the La Liga team of the season. He was brought in from Girona as the Mara's replacement, as the next big thing. Savio now, in multiple opportunities, haven't scored a goal for Manchester City. Jeremy Doku was bought in, okay, maybe as a raw talent that's supposed to somehow improve. Jeremy Doku is still a fantastic dribbler. He, you know, maybe has a couple of good moments, but doesn't really do anything. You know, there are certain players like Erling Haaland is not now as clinical with his chances. There are midfielders like a Matheus Nunes who have maybe gotten a chances, sometimes banged, sometimes not. Defensively, Kyle Walker has made so many individual errors. Their center backs have made so many individual errors. The one thing that this bad run has shown me is City have only one really good center back, Ruben Diaz. That's it. The rest of them are all mid or make mistakes.
And
or
John
are...
Stones is mediocre?
Yes. I think right now this run proves it. This run 100% proves it because Ruben Diaz is the only one that's actually performing at an acceptable level, to be honest.
What about Guardiola?
I mean, Guardiola is still young, so you have to give him a bit of leeway there. But I'm talking about the older, more experienced heads. Okay, do you think Bernardo can continue at a high level?
Let me tell you what I
Kyle
mean.
Walker, those guys.
Can I explain to you what I mean? And
also, I actually get paid to be on Straight Facts.
I asked the question.
I'm calling out someone in the chat. Q-Part. You're saying I could talk a glass to sleep. My brother, alhamdulillah. I have 45,000 subscribers on my channel. I have had 3,000 people watch me for 2 hours straight. If you're so talented, come do this, and I want to see how entertaining you are. I get paid to do Straight Facts, my brother. And you're sat here watching me, making me money. So big up to you. Go ahead, Mo.
Do you think, for example, the players like Bernardo, Kyle Walker, even John Stones, Kevin De Bruyne, when I say he lost the dressing room, that means the players are not buying into what he's saying. The players are not convinced that what he's saying wins them the games. Phil Foden, for example. Doku, for example. Like, I believe now at the current moment, watching these players play, they're not buying into the ideas. Even fans are saying, why don't you change things? Why do we lose games? Because you are very stubborn. You don't think that the players, and that is why I asked the question, you don't think that these players read what the fans are saying, look at the results and look at how Man City play and think, yes, you're one of the greatest managers ever to coach in the game. But what you're doing now is criminal. We're losing games, and it cannot only because we are all bad. Suddenly. So to me, I'm looking at Bernardo Silva and I am looking at the other, and I'm like, I don't think they are buying into the Pep system at the current moment. He can't perform it, and he has to change something. That's what I mean. By the way, Ederson wanted out. Bernardo wanted out. By the way, there are rumors that Haaland wants out. He wants to leave and go to Barcelona. By the way, Haaland is getting destroyed, by the way, in the media over the past month or two. He's being questioned as a League 2 player, and people now are bringing Roy Keane.
Since he said, "Stay humble," he scored 1 goal.
Yeah. And he's
is that Pep's fault also?
Yeah, Habibi, but that's the whole point. You're looking at Erling Haaland, one of the highest paid players in the league, right? And I want challenge me on this. One of the highest paid players, one of the most sought strikers. People were talking about it. Terry himself sat on shows and said that Erling Haaland might be the best striker we ever seen play in the Premier League.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said best finisher.
Best finisher. Okay.
Be very careful.
Semantics. You get my point. Like you said, he's the best.
But he's not finishing the chances anymore, which is
hold
my
on.
point.
Let me just tell you something. It's not about that. Erling Haaland now is sitting with his dad or his agent, with his friends, and they're like, Erling, by the way, you got the ball 6 times last game. What happened? He's like, yeah, nobody's passing me the ball. I'm being marked out of the game. And the gaffer is not finding a way to unlock me. I'm getting 1 chance a game. If I don't score it, I'm getting slaughtered in the media. And people say, Erling Haaland, you're a League 2 player. Roy Keane slaughtered me in the media the other day. And people start to believe it. And they're like, okay, so maybe why is that? He's like, I don't know. It's the system. It's what Pep is doing. You guys don't think that happens? I promise you that happens. Because that is the only logical explanation. Erling Haaland looks defeated on the pitch. His head is down. He's not receiving the ball. He's not moving, by the way, enough. He's not moving. By the way, back in the beginning of the season, people used to say, Erling Haaland moves and nobody's finding him. Erling Haaland surrender. All the games, he surrender, bro. He's standing on the pitch, head down, nobody's passing him the ball. That is system.
I don't think he's lost the dressing room yet. And I say yet because I think...
Man said yet, you're so fraudulent.
No, I'm not fraudulent, because you'll understand why I said yet. I don't subscribe to this notion that he can't. I feel that life's a funny thing, and you can go for a bad period of form. You can have some bad moments. You can do some silly things, and people forgive you. But there is a breaking point. And the longer this bad run continues, the probability or chance that some of the players lose faith in him, or maybe he says or does things that piss them off. I mean, they're looking at him scratch his balls on the thing, break chairs, scratch his head, say really strange things in the media.
Wave to the camera.
We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is why I say that yet, and there's a chance. My gut feeling tells me the players are behind him. However, if this goes on for another 10 games and only win 2 more matches in that time, so say that happens, another 10 games go by and we get to 22 games in to this run and they've won 3 or 4 of them and they've lost 15, 16, 17 of them, and he's gone on crazy rants about play. Because the thing is, all it takes is him to do one thing in that dressing room and you get a couple of really strong characters and players that go, hang on, mate. You're the issue here because you've lost a few key players and a few people lost their legs and you can't find a solution, but you're blaming us. So I don't think he has lost that dressing room at this particular moment or yet. I think he'll find a solution. And I think that at some point in the next 4 to 5 weeks, they'll start playing better. They're going to buy some individuals. Right now, I could end up being wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I feel like over the next 6 months or so, they'll buy players. The summer comes. They reforce their team and they'll be able to play back to their...
They can still win the league this season.
And they can still win the league. But I feel this idea where people have said, his job should never be discussed. He'll never lose a dressing room. It's almost this. The media, a lot of the media are painting this picture of there's loads of problems, but Pep isn't one of them in any capacity. That's what I disagree with. I disagree with that. And they're doing the same thing with Pep that they did when for 2 or 3 years we've all been saying they're not really buying very good players. Wasted money on Phillips and Nunez and Doku, and Savio's still pretty new, to be fair. They've wasted money on Jack Grealish. Why have they gone for Gundogan? Why is he? Lots of different. I'm not saying I criticize them. I'm saying as football fans called it out, media ignored it. It's turned out now City fans are going, bloody hell, we had 2 or 3 really bad summers on the bounce. And now that our core has aged out, we're noticing how bad these players are because we're asking them to step up. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that if this bad run continues and he keeps doing some of this weird stuff, if he's echoing that in the dressing room, of course he can lose people, because every manager, maybe barring Fergie, has lost the dressing room. 95% of managers, even lots of the greats, have lost dressing rooms, and it stopped working for them, where players have stopped listening. I don't think Pep's unique to a point where it isn't going to happen. And I think maybe in Sir Alex's early days at the lower level clubs, he might have got into that situation. I remember reading about it because it's normal. I think everybody has a capability of being great and then kind of and it going wrong. And it's just, I wouldn't delude myself if I was a City fan of thinking it's all 100% going to be okay. I would be watching and monitoring this very, very closely. Very closely.
No, bro.